So today we are going to discuss the different forms of linear equations. Okay? So we have two different forms that we use for linear equations. We call one of them, it's called the slope y-intercept form, the y equals mx plus b. And then there is also the standard form, which is ay plus bx plus c equals 0. We're going to look at both of them and we're going to try to go from one to the other. Okay? We're going to try to switch between the two forms. So before we start, let's define some terminology. What is the y-intercept? What's a y-intercept?
Where the line crosses the vertical axis.
That's right. Okay? So if I look at this, right? And I have a line. Right? This is my line. Right? Right here is my y-intercept. Right? It's where the line is the point where the line actually intersects the y-axis. So the y-intercept is the point where the line crosses the vertical axis, or in other words, the y-axis, and the point is at 0, y. Okay? So the point right here is 0, and whatever that value is. Okay? It's 0, y. Always your y-intercept starts as a point, and 0 first, the value second. The x-intercept is where the point where the line crosses which axis? The horizontal. Or in other words, the x-axis. Right? And the point is noted as x0. Okay? And this is where it is. Sorry, x0, not 0. Okay. You guys okay with this so far? So 2 points that are, basically they're 2 important points, because if I find these 2 points, I can draw my line, right? If I know this point, and I know this point, I can draw my line. All what I need to draw a line is 2 points, okay? Now, to calculate the y-intercept, which value do I set at 0? Which value would be the 0 value? X or y? X. So set x equals to 0 and solve for the y value. Now, if I want to look for the x-intercept, which value do I set to 0? Set y to 0 and solve for x. Are you guys okay with this? All right. Now, this is an equation of a line, right? Y equals negative x minus 4. How do I know that this is an equation of a line? What's my degree? What's my highest degree? Because it's an x, right? X to the power of 1, so it's x. We talked about this earlier, right? No? You don't remember? Okay. So, anyway, how would I find the x and the y-intercept of this equation? What do I do? So let's start with the x-intercept. What do I do to find the x-intercept? It's right here. What do I do to find the x-intercept? Sub what for x, for y? To find the x-intercept, set y equal to 0. So, y equal to 0. Now I have to solve for x. To solve for x, what do I have to do? Collect like terms if there is any, and if there's none, what do I have to do? Solve. And by solving means moving things around and isolating for x. Right? Remember what we learned at the beginning of last chapter? What I had to isolate for x? So I had to bring the negative 4 over, and I have to get rid of the 3, get rid of the negative 2. You guys remember that? It's the same thing as this. So, first thing I have to do is bring the negative 4 over. It becomes what? Positive 4. So it's 4 equals negative 2 over 3x. What do I have to do after that?
Put the 4 on here.
I moved the 4 over. I don't want to bring it back. What else I want to get rid of?
Fraction?
The fraction. I want to get rid of that fraction. Okay? X, I want it to stay on this side. Okay? I have division by 3. If I want to bring the division by 3 over, what does it become? Multiplication by 3. Right? So it's going to be 3 times 4. Now, 12 equals negative x. I'm going to write it, I'm going to bring it over here. 12 equals negative 2x. What's my last step? What do I do with the negative 2? And it becomes division. That's right. Remember the step? Where it's multiplication here, I want to bring it over, it becomes a division. So it's negative 6 equals 2x. Okay? Or if you guys remember, you can divide both sides by negative 2, right? And that would eliminate the negative 2, and then you'll end up with 12 over negative 2. Now, what I found here, I found my x-intercept. Okay? So if I want to graph it so far, where would I put my point? Where would I put this point? X equals negative 6. Right here?
Yeah.
Good. So this is my x-intercept. Are we all good with that? Okay. Now to solve for the y-intercept, what do I have to do? Put 0 in for the x. So to solve for the y-intercept, I put 0 for x, so it will be y equals negative 2 over 3 times 0 minus 4. So what do I get? Negative 4. Because negative 2 over 3 times 0 is 0. Anything multiplied by 0 is 0. Minus 4, so that is negative 4. So where would I put that point? Right here?
Yeah.
That's my y-intercept. Question for you. If you guys go back to this and go back to mx plus b, what is m?
Slope.
It's a slope, and what value does it represent in this equation? negative 2 over 3. So negative 2 over 3 is your slope because it's the coefficient of x. Right? It's the slope. What does negative 4 represent? B. And B is your y-intercept. So technically, I did not have to do anything. Technically, I could have just looked at this equation and said y equals negative 2 over 3x minus 4. Minus 4 represents my B, and B is my y-intercept. Okay? So let's graph the line. And basically, this is your line represented by negative 2 over 3x minus 4. I want you to ask yourself a question. Does it make sense that my line is going down? Yes, because the slope is negative. That's right. The slope is negative. The slope is negative, that means I am going down, right? If I always start from the left side, and I put my finger on the line, and then I am decreasing. Okay? Decreasing means slope is negative. Okay. Now, so what we did so far is finding the x and y intercept. Plug in 0 for x. If I'm finding the y-intercept, plug in 0 for y if I'm finding the x-intercept. So, I've already explained some of these to you. So the slope y-intercept form of a linear equation is written in the form of y equals mx plus b. Y is always by itself. No numbers, no signs, nothing with it. It should be y by itself. And then x has the slope multiplied by it, and then you have the y-intercept added to it. Where m is the slope, and b is the y-intercept. This thing should be in your brain, should be stuck in your brain, and should not be forgotten. Y equals mx plus b, m is my slope, b is my y-intercept. I have this equation, y equals 8x minus 9. Can you guys tell me what the slope is?
8.
What's the y-intercept? Negative 9. What's the slope for the second equation? Y equals negative 3 over 4x plus 2. Negative 3 over 4. What is my y-intercept? 2. Excellent. Why are we very interested in that equation? Why are we interested in y equals mx plus b? Why do we want it in this form? Because knowing this equation, it's easy for me to graph the line. Okay? I'm going to show you. We've already talked about rise over run before, and this is a slope. Okay? So let's see how is that going to happen. So the advantage of this is it's easy to graph. First thing you want to do, you want to plot your y-intercept. Okay? You have to locate your y-intercept. Then you're going to use your slope, which represents rise over run. To plot the other points, or the second point. So let's look at an example. I can use this word. I'm going to use the example above, so negative 3 over 4. Can you guys tell me? So first thing I have to look at the equation. It's in slope y-intercept form. What is my y-intercept? 2. So where would that be? Would it be on this line or on this line? On the y line. So it's going to be right here. Right? Because this is where my 2 is. So this is my y-intercept and this is my first point. Now, my slope is telling me what? Can you guys describe the slope for me? Go down what? How much? Go down 3 and then over 4. The rise over the run. So this is vertical, this is horizontal. So this is telling me go down 3 over 4. So I'm going to take my point and I'm going to count 3 down. Okay? So down 3, it means 1, 2, 3. I'm going to have to go over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is where my next point is. I have 2 points. I can graph my line. I am done. I did not have to do any calculation. I just looked at my equation. I located my y-intercept and I used my slope to graph. So, this is my line. Always extend your line. Don't stop at your points. And that's why you see me always extending the line and putting arrows. It means the line is continuous. It keeps going. It does not stop. Are you guys okay with this? So, start with the y-intercept. Use your slope to locate your next point. Can I go to the next page? Yeah.
So if it's just an 8, like the first one,
Mhm.
8 down over 1?
That's right. Because 8 means 8 over 1. Right? Any whole number is over 1. So that means you have to go down 8 points and then over 1 unit. Okay? Now what's wrong with this graph? What is it missing? It doesn't have any labels, it doesn't have any numbers, it just have a 2. You lose marks for this. Okay? Always include few points on your graph, so at least so I can see what are you going up by. Okay? You don't have to include too many, just a few. Right? Just so I know what your scale is. Okay. Standard form of a linear equation is written in the form of ay plus bx plus c equals 0. Okay? It's the least useful form you can ever have. Okay? It's so useless that I don't know why we learned it. Okay? An example would be, so if you have something that looks like this, 4x plus 5y plus 1 equals 0. in order to graph, you must plug in some values for x and solve for y. Okay? There's no other way. This is not going to help you in any way. But sometimes they give you the question like this. They tell you this is a line, an equation of a line. Graph it. What are you going to do with it? Or find the slope. What's the slope? I don't know. What's the y-intercept? God knows. I have to plug in 0 for x and solve for it. But we have to be able to solve this. We have to be able to manipulate it, to move it around, to make it useful for us. So we can always change the standard form into slope y-intercept form, okay? By rearranging your values, okay? So you want to rearrange everything, leave y on this side, move everything else to the other side. So basically, move this, and divide by 5, okay? We're gonna do a question like this, so you know what we're doing, okay? So basically, to go from standard to y equals mx plus b, isolate for y. Okay, this is what you need to do. Isolate for y. Leave y by itself. Move everything else. Okay. Help me. So I have 3x plus 2y minus 6 equals 0. They want us to change it to slope y-intercept form. So what do I have to do? Move everything else except the y. So, help me. What do I get? 2y. Equals. Okay. Keep going. So move everything else to the other side.
Plus 6.
Okay? So move the 3x over, it becomes negative 3x. Move the negative 6 over, it becomes a plus 6. I'm going to clean this up a little bit because I don't like, the form should look like this. It should look like y equals a number, x plus a number. Okay? So the x should be first. Do I need a 0? 0 plus 6 is 6. So I'm just going to clean up things. I'm going to write them. Write this first, write this next. Okay? Am I done? No. What else do I have to do? Move the 2. Get rid of that 2. The y has to be by itself. No one likes the y. Everyone wants to get away from it. So what do I do with that 2 when I move it over? What kind of operation do I have here? What's the opposite of that? Division. So that means I have to divide everything by 2. Always ask yourself, what kind of operation do I have? When you're moving things around, ask yourself that question. There is a reason why I'm standing here and I'm asking you this question over and over and over again. You need to ask it to yourself. So to simplify this, I can't simplify this. Negative 3 over 2x, it's the most simple form. What's 6 over 2? Done. Is this y equals mx plus b form?
Yes.
What's m?
M is the negative 2.
Yeah, what's the b? B is 3. What's the slope?
Going down.
Going down what?
Negative 3.
Going down 3
Over 2.
over 2. What's my y-intercept? 3. Okay? I'm done. The question is done. Now, what is the slope? Slope is negative 3 over 2. the y-intercept is 3. Now if you look back here, could you have guessed that your y-intercept is 3 and your slope is negative 3 over 2? Could you have gotten that somehow? No. Yes?
I missed the part. So the negative 3 over 2 remains the same.
Yes, because I can't simplify it. There's nothing else I can do with it.
So if you can't simplify it, you try.
So if you have like negative 6 over 3, then you divide both by 3. You
Okay.
simplify, right? But if it's not simplifiable, you